handyman that is putting the Republican plan into action. Oregon Congressman Greg Walden. His title is the chairman of the GOP's transition team, and there's quite a bit of transitioning to do. And he says that this year's Republican freshman class has a chance to make some real changes in Washington. That's certainly what they were elected to do. Here he is during this weekend's Republican response to President Obama's weekly address. Take a look.
The incoming Republican freshman class, well, it's no ordinary group. Nearly half of its roughly 80 members have never served in elective office before. So they bring a fresh perspective and a lot of the energy, intelligence, and experience that we want to incorporate into how we implement reforms that give the government back to the people. And for this reason, we're not only including them in the transition to a new majority, but also giving them a seat at the leadership table in the next Congress.
That was Congressman Greg Walden, and as I said, he is the head of the GOP transition team.
Exactly.
All right, let's bring in Congressman Greg Walden. He joins me now. Congressman, good morning. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Good morning. It's good to be with you.
So you may have heard some of what we were just talking about, and the call to take really bold action is what is upon this new Congress. What kind of bold action are you going to encourage them to take?
Well, first of all, let's get our focus back. Let's open up the system, make it more transparent and accountable so we can get to the policy decisions that will allow us to cut wasteful Washington spending, allow us to focus on getting Americans back to work. My role as GOP chairman of the transition team is to change how the House itself operates, to open it up, let the public see the public's business being done, and by the way, let the public participate in that process as well. So we're going to change the rules, we're going to open it up, we're going to make it more accessible, transparent, and accountable.
Yeah, a lot of folks are expecting that the House will do an early vote in this Congress on repealing health care. Is that your expectation as well?
I anticipate that fully. You know, it's pretty simple in that we have a pledge to America that we developed as a governing document after listening to Americans. It's all right there in the pledge about what we said we would do, and we'll do what we said we were going to do. That initiative of the pledge, those things we said we would do is what got us to the point we're at, which is the biggest changeover in Congress since 1938, the biggest increase in Republican seats since the 1940s. You can guarantee we're going to do what we said we were going to do.
Yeah. Obviously, you don't have control of the Senate. You have control of the House. And we've been talking earlier with Congressman John Shadegg about some of the disappointments that happened after 1994. A similar moment of enthusiasm that everything was going to change in Washington, and spending ended up soaring. What's to make people think the same thing won't happen this time?
Well, I'll tell you what, the House is where all budget and tax matters start under the Constitution. And we're going to make sure that bills, as they're put forward, have constitutional references. We're going to control the purse strings, and we're going to sit down and work this out as adults to get spending under control. I'd say the difference between now and 94, too, is that this incredible explosion of deficit spending has taken place in the last couple of years under Speaker Pelosi's leadership, under Harry Reid's leadership, and under Barack Obama's leadership, such that we now have these exploding deficits, $900 billion a year each of the next 10 years. Yeah. And now we have this international debt crisis as well. Americans get it. Congress needs to get it. The message is clear.
I think you're right. I think Americans do get it in a way that perhaps they didn't in 1994. And I think that's one of the central differences that you can certainly feel out there right now. What about Social Security? Are you willing to, encourage your members to go after, to make cuts in Social Security, make cuts in the defense budget, make cuts in Medicare? Is that what we're going to see?
I think what we have to do is look at every agency, every program, and do the oversight that Congress has not done to find efficiencies. We have to keep our commitments to older Americans. That's clear. The voters
what do you mean by that, though, Greg Walden? Do you mean that you would not consider cutting Social Security?
Look, there's a lot we can cut before we get to Social Security. How about not raiding the Social Security funds to begin with? I mean, there are lots of things we can do, but there is so much waste across the government. Every agency, every program needs to be evaluated. Can we not find savings in how these programs are administered,
you will never get there, with all due respect, Congressman. I don't think we'll ever get there when you look at the numbers without Social Security, defense, Medicare, without tapping into those sacred cows.
All the entitlement programs, all the spending in Washington, all has to be reviewed. And let's stop adding to the cost. Let's stop adding new entitlements that you cannot afford. Obama's health care program, now law, is a huge new entitlement that can't be sustained. It'll break us nationally. So I think everything has to be reviewed.
Congressman, everybody's going to be watching what you and your colleagues are doing very closely. You're going to be under a big magnifying glass. And if we change
And if we change the rules appropriately, they'll have even more opportunity to watch us and hold us accountable by opening up the Congress to view.
Good to have you here today. Thank you very much, Congressman Greg Walden from Oregon.